to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you much. Be seated.
Thank you, Forrest. Invocation to be given by Reverend Larry Britt, retired chaplain of the City of Morganton Public Safety Department. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Thank you. Evening. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, by whose might we are created, by whose grace we are redeemed, in whose love we are called to be your children, keep us in your steadfast care and guide us in the ways of righteousness. Grant us the wisdom to know what is right and give us the strength and courage to do it. In all times, keep us mindful that we are ever walking in your sight, and lead us to wise decisions and right actions in the governance of this, your family. Unite us in the bonds of your love and work through our deliberations to accomplish your purposes, so that in your good time all people everywhere may serve you in harmony and peace. All this we ask for your love's sake. And now may the Lord bless us and keep us. May the Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace this night and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Okay. Introduction of our city council. On my far right is Ronnie Thompson, city councilman. Forrest Fleming, city councilman. We got Louis Vina, our city attorney. I'm Mel Cohen, your mayor. I have Sally Sandy, city manager. Sidney Simmons, city councilman. John Cantrell, city councilman. Kelly Russell, recording secretary. And Becky Brinkley, interpreting for our deaf community. Again, I want to welcome everyone here. Thank you for being here. It's an important meeting because this is our budget where we call for a public hearing tonight. Retiree resolution, and I don't see Ann. Okay. I'm going to read the resolution honoring Ann Vu. Whereas Ann Vu was employed by the City of Morganton as BLET trainee in the Public Safety Department on August 18, 2003, promoted to Public Safety Officer trainee in the Public Safety Department on February 15, 2003, promoted to Public Safety Officer on June 30, 2004, promoted to Public Safety Officer Special Assignment, School Resource Officer on August 20, 2009. Whereas Ann Vu has faithfully served the City of Morganton in the Public Safety Department and has given of her time and efforts for the benefit of the citizens of Morganton for 10 years, 6 months. And whereas Ann Vu retired from the City of Morganton as a Public Safety Officer, Special Assignment in the Public Safety Department on March 1, 2014. And whereas the Morganton City Council wishes to officially recognize the contributions of Ann Vu and express their appreciation for a job well done. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Morganton that the mayor present this resolution to Ann Vu, adopted this the second day of June, 2014. Mel Cohen, mayor. Sally Sandy, city clerk. Make a motion we accept this.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And Chief will make sure she gets this and the check that goes with it. And her weapon, by the way, need to make a motion on the motion to declare as surplus a Glock Model 22 pistol, serial number CZG 801, and fire services helmet, sell and present to retired PSO Ann Vu.
So moved.
Okay, got him. Well, I made the motion. You got
Second.
a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And you paid your dollar.
No, I paid the
Everybody
dollar.
sees that.
My dollar, not his.
Not very often you see a manager with a dollar. Okay. We've got a couple of service pins, I believe. One is Andrew Shupin, and 20 years. Andrew, if you'd come to the end over here. And if you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to use the microphone over there. But I want to thank you for being here 20 years. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.
And we had one more, 25 years for Terry Scott Lane, Water Resources. and we'll pass it on. Okay. Public advocacy issues and strategies. As you well know, Morganton's named the greatest main street in North Carolina by the North Carolina chapter of the American Planning Association. Lee, you want to say anything, or Sharon want to say anything? We greatly appreciate the people that supported us, and it's your father organization, I guess, Lee, that did that. And that's right. Thank you.
I'll say that at Town Hall Day on Wednesday that we are going to receive, I guess, a formal presentation of the award, and our state representatives will be there to give that to us, I guess.
Very good. Thank you. And Town Hall, she just mentioned, is Wednesday, June 4th. The TGIF concert series continues on this Friday night at 7 o'clock with Carolina Soul Band. The food will be out there at 6 o'clock, and all the other festivities. And I hope everybody will go out and look at the beginning of the memorial that is being put up that we're going to celebrate sometime the week of the 4th of July in downtown Morganton. It'll be a great addition to our downtown. It'll be a big tourist attraction because I've not seen anything like this in North Carolina anywhere, but it'll be during the week of the July 4th. Farmers markets continue on Saturday on Beach Street and Wednesday on North Green Street. Grandview water tank update, Brad.
I want to thank everybody for giving me a few minutes to give you a tank update, our water tank maintenance program. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about is we have the Grandview tank, which is being wrapped up this week. The last update that I had given you didn't include the Astro Drive tank, so I wanted to just spend a few seconds showing you some pictures of what's been done to date. Next slide, please. This is the Astro Drive tank, 300,000 gallon tank across from the Salem Elementary School. We've completely did a complete interior and exterior renovation on this tank. Next slide. This is a slide of the tank. You can see definitely some of the exterior corrosion going on the side of the tank railing. Next slide. That's the new paint job. Looks fantastic. The utility service group, our contractor, did an excellent job. Next slide. This you can see the support structures, the legs, the riser pipe. That pile of debris that you see outside of the manway is not sediment that was removed from the tank. That's some of the blasting material. That's a lot of material. We wouldn't want to see that kind of accumulation inside the tank. This is a view down inside of the tank from the top hatch. You can definitely see that there's a lot of corrosion, some sedimentation in the tank. On the side walls, you can see a little bit of corrosion going on. Next slide. This is the exact same view after the epoxy coating has been put on the interior part of the tank. It just looks great. That's going to really improve water quality and maintain water quality over time. Next slide. This is the Grandview tank. This is the most recent tank. This will finish up all the capital improvements in this budget year. Again, these were all interior and exterior renovations. This is the tank up on Frank Wisnett, the intersection of 126 and Frank Wisnett, 200,000 gallon tank. Next slide. There's the finished product. We started that first part of May and just completing it this week. We'll have it disinfected and ready to put online probably by the middle of this week. This is the vent screen that was on top of that tank. A lot of corrosion. Next slide. There it is. Finished product. Looks really good. That's going to last another 20, 30 years. Next slide. Interior at the Grandview tank, you can definitely see a lot of staining, corrosion, delaminating of the metal on the support beams, peeling paint. Next slide. This is a view inside Grandview. You can see the water level, a lot of corrosion. You can see that support structure in the middle. There's a lot of corrosion on that as well. This is the after product, after the epoxy coating. That's the ladder to go down inside the tank. And this is that same view that you saw minus the water in the tank, but support structures, all of the supporting beams are completely covered with epoxy. It looks great. And that's all
Brad,
we have right now.
I want to compliment you. It's really I don't know how long it's been done. since we had it painted before? Do you have any idea? Like the
I think it's probably been at least 15 to 20 years.
Okay.
I can't really remember when we had the tanks completely drained and the sediment removed and completely redone interior-wise. But again, this is just capital dollars that we spend. It's an investment in our system. Water quality is just going to be improved over the years. And hopefully next year we're just going to be doing visual inspections. We won't have to take them out of service again for another year after this fiscal year coming up. But again, we got 6 more tanks, and we're hoping to address those probably in about another 3 years.
And you won't have to worry about the one on West Union, right?
Hopefully not for long.
Okay.
Brad, what's the status on our tank right outside here?
What we've had is
Exterior,
a contractor come, and he did a visual inspection. He climbed the tank. Basically, he did an initial assessment. He realized that the accumulation of paint over the years, it's probably had been improperly coated sometime before. So right now we're looking at waiting on a proposal from their corporate office to give us a price on what it's going to cost to do a complete exterior renovation of that tank.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Before I move on to Andy and the safety awards, where's Andy?
He's back there.
Okay. Scott, I'd like to present you your 25-year pin.
Thanks, sir.
Congratulations.
You're welcome.
Well,
Work for the city. Work for the city's been a blessing. So I got a big mouth.
Okay.
It's been a blessing, and for 25 years, we've had some challenges, and just like anywhere else you work, you know, you have your ups and downs. But it's been a good 25 years, and this is my wife Carla right here, and she just tickled to death to see me do it. And I was like, I was late for my wedding. I'm late for this.
Thank you, Scott. Ms. Ling. Okay, Andy.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Councilman. On Tuesday, May 13th, I had the pleasure of attending the Western North Carolina Safety Awards banquet at the Community House with several city employees. At this banquet, the city received 11 safety awards. To receive the Silver Award from the North Carolina Department of Labor, you must be at least 50% below the industry average of days away from work. We had 5 departments receive this award: Development and Design, Electric, Sanitation, the Cemetery and Ground for the 2nd consecutive year, and Recreation for the 2nd consecutive year. To receive the Gold Award from the Department of Labor, you must be at least 50% below the industry average for days away from work and job transfers or restrictions. We had 6 departments receive this award: the administrative departments here in City Hall, Public Safety, the CAMA for the 2nd consecutive year, the Wastewater Treatment Plant for the 4th consecutive year, Compass Cable for the 5th consecutive year, and the Water Treatment Plant for the 15th consecutive year. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come and present these awards to you and for your continued support for the city's various safety efforts.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for working on the safety, and it's working. Thank you very much. Thank all the department heads involved. I want to mention 2 things. Of course, we've had another horrific shooting at the University of California at Santa Barbara. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families and the people involved in that shooting. Terrible, terrible event. Also, the death of renowned educator, writer, poet, Maya Angelou last week. She'll be missed sorely by a lot of people. Okay, Power Agency.
Nothing at this time.
Consent agenda, Sally.
The consent agenda before you tonight includes 5 individual items. The staff asks that you consider adopting those in one motion unless someone would like to have an item removed and discussed separately. For those of you viewing at home, the items include minutes from the May 5th meeting, tax releases in the amount of $24.33, authorizing HR to purchase a insurance policy for City of Morganton Reserve Public Safety Officers, Police and Fire Reserve Officers, and then the renewal of the city's health insurance master plan. And finally, consideration of selecting an engineering firm that will be doing the design and construction administration for the biosolids project that we're doing as a part of the larger waste treatment plant project. Last month, you approved $70,000 borrowing from the SRF to do this.
Very good. I hear a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Sally, proposed budget for 2014-15.
I know this is a moment you've all been waiting for.
Yep.
We have a drum roll. Not really. Okay, Karen's driving.
Yeah.
And because the day has been so crazy, she not only is relying on the remote, but she's standing up there in case it all goes haywire, because that's kind of the sort of day that we have had. You all have had a chance to have the budget. We worked on that back in late April and early May with committees and department directors and everybody to come up with a budget proposal. You guys have had that information now for the better part of a month. We have gotten those numbers finalized and put together, and I present to you tonight a $71.3 million budget. And we'll talk a little bit about that because there's a lot of things in here that I think are fairly important and that people need to take note of. First of all, total budget this year after amendments and carryover projects and all of that, $78 million. Again, the one that you will consider calling for a public hearing on is 71.3. Overall, that's a 9% decrease. The capital included in this budget, there's general fund capital, utility budget. General fund capital is $2.7 million. Utility capital is $4.3, and that's spread across all the utility budgets. Looking at 37.25 frozen positions still in the budget. It does continue our partnering and our funding of our partners. Of course, we have other partners in this, but the highlights of those, BDI, the Economic Development Group for the county, is funded at $291,000 in here. The Burke County Library, and that's the Morganton location, almost $220,000. The Burke County Narcotics Task Force at $20,000, and the Foothills Regional Airport at $26,342. Those partnerships total $557,260. Represents 3.5 cents on your tax rate, 3.6 cents to be exact. Several things included in those partnerships, operations of those entities. We'll say that the airport, because I think this is worth noting, requested no operational dollars from the 4 partner entities in that. That's the 2 counties, Caldwell and Burke, and the 2 cities, Morganton and Lenoir. They are operationally self-supporting, and I think that's a pretty big deal. The money that they are asking for deals with capital improvements and grant matches for money that they'll be able to get with local matches. We'll say that the library includes $36,000, which is for capital next year, and that is partially funded by Burke County. That is something that we share with them 50-50. So we will see if they approve this also before those projects go on. Also includes $5,000 additional for the library that we include in maintaining their grounds and maintaining the outside appearance of their landscaping and that is included again. Big deal this year. I think that we have several once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, and opportunities and challenges are sometimes interchangeable. We have a situation where the new Broughton Hospital is going to be constructed, and that's $150 million of state money being invested in this community. For that hospital to open, they are going to obviously vacate some of the current property and buildings that are being used. So we're going to find ourselves with over 1 million square feet of vacant space on that campus. And I believe the campus is about 150 acres, something thereabouts. Have been working with the state. They are obviously the property owner and in the driver's seat. but we have been working now for the better part of 1.5 to 2 years to get them thinking about what is going to happen there before those buildings are empty. We would not like for them to end up like the property at the School for the Deaf, where you have a fence around a rotting building. We have contacted many state agencies. They have visited the property, and we finally have engagement. We have bills being proposed in this session of the General Assembly that will deal with planning for this redevelopment. It's a big deal. And this could be a project that ends up being a game changer, not only for our community, for the state, for Western North Carolina, for the region. It could end up being a very big deal and something that we want to remain involved in and that we care a lot about, because that sits right in the middle of our community. Second thing like that, there is a movement afoot, and there was a study that had been approved by the General Assembly last session, and there are currently bills being proposed by our local representatives in this short session to see if there's a possibility to have a Western North Carolina School of Science and Mathematics. And that would be located on the state property, currently looking at the School for the Deaf property, but not limited. Recognize that there are other state properties where something like that could happen. That's an awesome thing for Western North Carolina, for this community. Also a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think, to pursue that. There's momentum for that. There are local businesses, grassroots efforts from folks who have become excited about it, who are getting involved in the process. That's a really good thing. Another once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with the opening of Morganton Heights, about 450 or 540. Did I get that backwards? 500,000 square feet of retail space out there. What's happened with that is we have some vacant retail space, right? Because folks decided to move where the center was. So, first of all, to get a development like that in a community our size, coming out of the economic times we have, is a pretty big deal. Secondly, having 300,000 of vacant retail space already on the ground and existing and served by services, and an opportunity to fill that is also a big deal. So we are working with BDI in Burke County and working through a partnership with Electricities. And you know, you have approved money for a 3-year study to try to do that. There's $9,000 included in this budget for the second year of that. I think that all of those are opportunities. First glance, the folks doing the retail study, they've identified potential retail gaps in this community that are between $100 million and $200 million in retail sales. So they have identified gaps very preliminarily that possibly we could attract retailers that could do that much business in this community. I want to talk a little bit about sales tax, because sales tax is the second largest revenue in the general fund. It's $3.2 million budgeted next year. Obviously, retail is a big contributor to that. It is the contributor to that. Want to make sure that everybody understands something, because there's been a lot of conversations recently. The way that sales tax works is when you pay sales tax, it gets remitted to the state of North Carolina. 2% of that distribution comes back to Burke County. That is distributed out based on our population. Morganton gets a little over 13% of that. The other 87% is divided between Burke County and the other municipalities. That is lifeblood to the other municipalities in this community. Sales tax and filling that retail and what is happening at Morganton Heights is important, not just for the people in Morganton, but for everybody that lives in Burke County, for everybody that lives here. Okay, general fund. This year, $20.4 million. Talked about 2.7 in capital improvements, and that's about $666,000 decrease from what we did this year. General fund, general government services, you know the drill, public safety, administration, zoning, planning, recreation, all the things that aren't utility related. The budget before you includes $215,000 in privilege license taxes. The General Assembly has already taken action and voted to eliminate that effective July 1 of 2015. That represents about 1.5 cents on your current tax rate. And that is a revenue that, unless something changes, will be gone next year. I don't know what else to say about that. There are several other revenues in here that worry me. Utility franchise taxes, ABC revenue that comes back to us from the state, Powell bill monies, all state collected monies that come back to us. While those aren't being discussed actively right now in the General Assembly, they always could be. And that's significant dollars. The franchise tax is $1.5 million. The beer and wine tax is about $83,000, and the Powell bill funds are about $492,000. So those are big dollars. Talk a little bit about the capital budget and the things it includes for the general fund. Continuation of the wayfinding signage, sidewalk projects, public safety vehicles, a rear loader, some mowing equipment, includes paving projects, and includes about $25,000 more in paving than we have had in the past several years. Infrastructure improvements at the community house, repaving the initial part of the greenway, which has not been done since we built it in the early 90s, 91. And then some recreation and park improvements. Some of those run-of-the-mill general that we do every year, and some of those different. It's a small capital budget, but it does start to do some of the things that for the last several years we haven't done, replacing some equipment and putting some money back into our facilities and our infrastructure and doing some things that we haven't been able to do in the past. And we've talked for several years how we can only put that off for so long. So those are included in this budget. Big thing, no recommendation for increasing the ad valorem taxes. Recommend those to remain at 53 cents per $100 value. 1 cent on the tax rate generates about $156,000. And for next year, we're estimating that this tax rate will generate a little over $8 million. And that represents 40% of your general fund revenue. No recommendation to, I already talked about them, didn't I? No recommendation to change the downtown tax rate either. That is 14 cents recommended to you again per $100. That generates approximately $119,000. 1 cent on that rate will generate $8,500. Funds about a quarter of the Main Street program. And we'll tell you that that rate has not changed in 19 years. It has been 14 cents for 19 years. No recommended change in the solid waste fee, the garbage fee, slated to remain at $10 a month. There is an appropriation of fund balance in, and we talked a little bit about the state revenues that I remain concerned about, state collected revenues. Appropriation of fund balance, $477,819. Second year in a row that we've recommended appropriating fund balance to you. In the year we're in, we recommended appropriating about $758,000. It appears, with everything estimated, that we're going to use about $430,000 of that. So feel comfortable recommending this amount and allowing you to stay within your 15% adopted policy. The LGC says you have to have 8% of your fund balance, 8% of your general fund expenditures in fund balance. Your board adopted policy says you maintain 15%. This will do that. Okay. Water fund. Proposed budget, a little over $7 million. And recommending in that budget a 10-cent increase per 1,000 gallons. So that's a change in the variable volume charge. Not recommending any changes in the fixed cost or any of those. What this equates to is for a customer that uses 5,000 gallons a month inside the city, pretty average, that would be 50 cents per month increase. That's a double to your outside customers, so that would be $1 a month for them. The closing of the Western Youth Institution, we lost $40,000 in annual revenues in the water fund for that. Looking at a 2% increase in water usage, and we are now operating at 46% of the capacity at the plant. We'll tell you that our water rates remain incredibly incredibly low. There's just no other way to say it. They are very competitive with those around us. This same 5,000 gallons of water in the town of Valdez costs $30 a month. In Burke County, it cost over $40 a month, and with the rate increase in Morganton, it would cost $14.40. So, pretty big difference in that. Capital projects, a little under $2.5 million there. Still working to get a 0% loan to do the replacement of the clear wells, and we're just stubborn enough that we won't give up on that. We're going to pester them until we get it. Water tank maintenance next year, and you just heard what's been done this year, $218,000. These are the highlights from that. And then rehabilitation and replacement of lines, we've identified about $335,000 worth of projects. And then other routine items in that capital project for next year. The electric fund. Okay, this is a big part of our budget. This is the thing when everybody wants to compare us to other cities, they sometimes forget that we are an electricity, and that really does change the amounts of our budget significantly. Next year's budget, $34.7 million, $45,000 decrease over the current year's budget, due in large part to a reduction in capital requests, $561,000. Effective July 1, we are going to receive a wholesale power increase of 2.0%, is the average rate that the power agency adopted. For Morganton, when we figure in our growth and what their assumptions are, we are going to receive between the wholesale rate increase and the cost to operate our distribution system a 2.3% increase. Recommending passing that on. We'll tell you that last year this time we were talking about a 5 to a 5.5% increase. You know, for the last several years we have had some pretty stiff electric rate increases. This is the lowest one in a long time. Recommend that becoming effective with the July 1st billing. For a typical all-electric residential customer, that's 7 cents a day, $2.19 a month. Need to talk a little bit about sales tax. One of the things that happened with the General Assembly's long session and their tax reform efforts, they did away with the structure with which electricity used to be taxed. In the old days, right now, before July 1st, electricity was taxed at 3.22% at the wholesale level and 3% at the retail level. Your wholesale tax was included in your cost of power. Your retail tax shows up on your power bill. When you look at your power bill, it says electric sales tax. They did away with and eliminated the wholesale tax with the tax reform to go into effect this July, and took the 3% retail rate and upped that to 7%. So beginning July 1, every electric customer in North Carolina, regardless of who your provider will be charging you a 7% retail sales tax on your electricity. So customers will see an increase to them based on that sales tax. That's a state sales tax, does not come to the city. It will be collected and remitted to the state of North Carolina, and they will be using that as they see fit. We are making flyers to go out, little notices, because this is probably something that's going to take people by surprise. We'll tell you that currently there are manufacturing customers, of which we have quite a few in this community, who are exempt from electric sales tax. It is our belief that they will remain exempt, so they will not see that increase. Small appropriation of retained earnings in this budget, $35,000, almost $36,000. Transfer to the general fund of $642,000, which is in compliance with the requirements of the Local Government Commission and what they allow us to transfer. Wholesale power is the big cost in there. It's 87% of the budget, and it's $30.2 million. Don't know what else to say about that. Wastewater fund. This is the fund that comparisons are very difficult, because for the last several years we've been in the midst of the $11.4 million upgrade at the plant, and that's a huge number, so that skews all of our numbers. 5.2 is the recommended budget, $5.2 million for next year. Not looking at any recommendation for a rate increase. We are beginning to take on the debt of the $11.4 million project. We are able to do this without an increase because we are retiring some old bonded debt from bonds issued in the 90s. So basically you've got the new debt replacing that, albeit a little bit higher than that was. It is basically replacing that old debt. The Western Youth Institute closing costs the sewer fund about $70,000 in revenue a year. We've seen a slight increase, almost 5% over the last couple years in our treated waste water, and we are operating at 50% of plant capacity. Capital projects. With the completion of the big project, we are now taking on some smaller projects out there, trying to do those all along like we've been doing in the water fund and invest in that infrastructure so that we really don't come to another situation where we need another $12 or $15 million to take on a project. Clarifiers are going to be improved out there, a couple $100,000, and then we're going to continue the manhole and sewer line rehabilitation work, which also helps at the plant because it helps to resolve some of our infiltration issues, and that's about $350,000. And then there's several other just kind of routine projects and equipment replacements proposed. Cable. $4.4 million, almost $4.5 million next year, and a capital improvement program of almost $370,000. Replacing a bucket truck, expanding the physical building at the head end, and then we have been trying to purchase the tower on High Peak, as you all are well aware, from Charter for a while, for months. And it appears, as we have just heard from them, that early next fiscal year we are going to be able to accomplish that. So that's included in this budget, in that $369,000. No real surprises here. The cost of television goes up and up and up and up. The programmers, you're pretty much at their whim. They can charge you what they want if you want to carry their programming. It is that time again. 3 years ago, we had to negotiate with the off-air channels. It is that time again for Bill to work this fall to renegotiate the prices that we will have to pay to carry those. They will be put into place in January of 2015. Those will be 3-year contracts. We have budgeted a 24% increase in that cost. It's based on our experiences last time. We don't really know yet. And as a reminder, that's to cover the BTVs, SOCs, CNCs, CCB, SPA, LOS, and all of those. I feel like I'm saying the alphabet. Cable television, changing everywhere. It is the TV part of that, the video part of that is really changing. We've talked now for a couple of years, folks. Everybody around us changing their systems. They're doing away with analog service. They are going to digital service. It is more cost effective. It is how you better use your infrastructure to deliver product to your customers. And that requires folks to give up the service that they now get where they don't have to have a box. You have to get a box with that. And Time Warner, Charter, all those around us are going to that, and you're really going to be faced with that sooner rather than later. If we're going to be competitive and if we're going to remain in that piece of the business. You know, folks stream, they watch their TV in many ways now. Internet is as important to watching your TV as TV is, in all honesty. And so it's a real balancing act. And what we have learned is that our investment in our bandwidth and how we deliver our internet services, and you heard Mr. Brooks talk about it tonight, is very important. Speed is what we have to offer. Speed is what people want. This is going to seem funny coming from me, but it is a way of life. Everybody at home, they're playing games, they're talking, they're Skyping, they're researching, they're doing homework, they're having fun, they're doing their shopping lists, they're doing all these things, and it is how people live in 2014, and it is not going to change. And so we have to answer that, and we have to do that with the Compass system if we want to remain competitive and in business. TV cost, 4% per month increase in basic cable. Recommend that to become effective January 1. That's when our new programming costs will go into effect, whatever they may be. Would take your current rate from $63.95 to $67.95 with the $4 increase. We hope that covers the increase. We're not sure. Recommended rate increase for the broadcast basic, that's the basic 20 channels, $1.50 a month, in effect January 1, 2015 also, from $23.95 to $25.45. No changes in telephone fees. They would all remain the same. Big changes recommended in high-speed internet service and fees. And this is your lineup. Our proposal is that we would offer no service less than 10 and 2 megabytes per second, and that's 10's down and 2's up. And for residential customers, they would pay $39.95 a month for that. Business customers would pay $64.95, and you see the schedule as it graduates. What that does is, and that would become recommended to become effective August 1st, it will eliminate the old light service and the 2 speeds just above that in the current system that we have. It would take everybody to more than 3 times the speed that they have been getting, and it would set up this rate schedule. I really think it's something that you got to do. You got to get in the game with it. We looked at Budget Time and, Charter and what they've done, and they've upped everybody. Their rates start at $49.95, go to $89.95 for their low service. We looked at the other municipal systems in North Carolina. They're doing this. Salisbury just adopted. They're not going to offer anything less than $50. Haven't been able to find out what they're offering that at yet. Haven't been able to find out a price. You have to do this if you want to be competitive. Recommend that you keep in place a $10 a month discount for any customer that bundles. So if you got more than one service, you would receive a $10 a month discount.
Sally, the rate would start August 1st?
Yes. Which would be in the billing that goes out the last week of July. Mm-hmm. You see in your budget message, we talk about the business service too, and there's a rate schedule set up for that as well. No appropriation of retained earnings, and that's really cable. I don't know what else to say about that. Cemetery Trust Fund, the new thing there is we have included $50,000 from the fund that would be used to construct a columbarium at the cemetery. And we've been talking about that since we met back in February to talk about capital. That is included in this budget. Total budget for the cemetery fund is $70,000. IGS houses our IT, our warehouse, and our garage. That budget for next year is $2.1 million. The IT portion of that, a little over $1 million. The warehouse portion, $347,000, and the garage equipment services is a fancy way of saying garage, $780,000. You see there some of the things that make those up. Support contracts for hardware and software, $230,000. Studio upgrade. Our equipment here that we have really had since we opened is old. It needs to be converted to digital. We're having more and more problems, and we are having difficulty in keeping it going and making it work. That's another example of that technology we need to keep up with. Got to talk about the forklift. Just got to talk about it. Proposing $20,000 to buy a new forklift at the warehouse. That is to replace a 1994 forklift. Now, the 1994 forklift will move...
49. You said 1994.
I'm sorry, 1949 forklift. What am I? The 1949 forklift will be leaving the warehouse and going to the garage. No, the 94 one's replacing the 49 one. Yeah. Aren't I right?
Oh, yeah.
She's trying to confuse me. The one from the 40s is going away.
Right.
And the one from the 90s is replacing the
80s.
one from the 40s. Mm-hmm.
84.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's still
Anyway,
over
it's
30
really
years
old, okay? So we're replacing a forklift, and the hand-me-down is going to the garage, and they're kind of excited. Fuel purchases, $525,000 for next year. Personnel, as we said earlier, 37.25 frozen positions. That kind of is what it is. It's been a lot higher than that. We continue to work with less people. 2% COLA, cost of living adjustment increase, is in for all employees. The cost of that is $219,859 citywide. That would become effective with the first full payroll in July, if you choose to do that. Employees and retirees would continue to contribute $10 a month toward the cost of their insurance. The budget does include unfreezing two previously frozen positions. One of those is a customer service rep in public safety. Annual cost a little over $38,000. That would be administrative support at the headquarters building during regular business hours to compensate for the relocation of all the dispatchers to the 911 center. The second one is the recreation center supervisor at Mountain View, and that total cost is about $52,000, and both of those include benefits. For several years, we have been fortunate that several retired city employees have been working part-time and covered that center as a supervisor. They have expressed an interest in no longer doing that. So we really need a full-time person over there to be in charge and to schedule and take care of that facility. It is an integral part of our recreation programs and deserves that. Total cost next year for insurance benefits, $2.4 million for active employees, $553,000 for retirees. Law enforcement separation allowance decreased by $12,000 and is funded at $122,000 next year. And that brings me to my summary. Last several years, I don't have to tell anybody, they've been tough. I termed the Great Recession of 2008 in my budget message, and it's been difficult since then. Since that time, we've weathered the county reevaluation of property, which netted a loss to the property tax base. Prior to that, we saw declining property tax values for several years in a row. State law changes continue to impact our local revenues. We have treaded our way through this gingerly on some days and charging forward on others. We have fought back from an unemployment of 15% in 2009 to 6.3% in April of 2014. We have done our best to do this while maintaining an acceptable level of services, I think exceptional services, providing an acceptable level of financial stability, and as we've said in the past few years, a sharing of that burden among city taxpayers, employees, utility customers, and kind of everyone involved. We've maintained our fund balance and adhered to your policy. We've done that with dedicated employees, involved citizens, devoted leadership, and through our partnerships. I think we've been able to accomplish keeping our small town charm, offering some big city amenities, and we've done that with public and private partnerships. And that's something you should be proud of. We are beginning to reinvest again in our aging infrastructure. We are moving forward in our ability to deliver the latest technology in our internet and phone service. We are moving forward with technology in our areas of customer service and trying to give the citizens the service that they deserve. We continue to work with our economic development partners, our tourism partners, our regional partners, our governmental partners, and local industry, and basically everybody. I thank you for your input into the budget. I thank you for not being satisfied to let Morganton stand still for the last several years, even when it's been pretty tough to move forward. I present this because this is representative of a team effort. And that's how we do a lot of things here. Actually, it's how we do most things. Some days the team might not get along very well. Other days they get along great. But at the end of the day, it is always a team effort. The department directors, they continue to find ways to make it work every day. They do that with the support of dedicated employees. For that, I'm grateful. They make thoughtful and reasonable budget requests. When they can save, they save. When they need to spend money, they spend money. And that's across the board. And I am proud of how they handle that. Karen, I don't know how to say thank you for the hours, days, weeks, months, all the stress that leads up to this, and your staff that actually make me able to sit up here and talk about $72 million in a way that I think is as responsible as we can be. And I thank you for that. Okay, so here's my movie, right? Every year we got to talk about a movie. This year's Gone with the Wind. And it's not Rhett's quote, although I thought about that. It's actually a reference to Scarlett. Thought long and hard about this. We've been through challenges, obstacles, and we've had quite a few of those in the last handful of years. Much like Scarlett, she goes through a lot of things. And she pushes the envelope when she has to overcome setbacks, and she never gives up. She fights really hard and passionately for what she believes in. She's almost willing to do anything to get what she wants. And that's the kind of attitude that we've had during these times, and they've been pretty stressful. And I think as a team we've done that and continued to push the envelope and to move Morganton forward. One thing about Scarlett that she does sometimes, though, is she takes a deep breath and she says, tomorrow's another day, and I'm going to think about that tomorrow. So my challenge to you all here is we have done a lot of good things. There are many more things that need to be done. So we need to take a breath, sit back, and think about that tomorrow, because we're not going to accomplish it all in one day. It's going to take more than one day. We're going to fill that retail space. We're going to resurface roads. We're going to push the state to redevelop state property, whether they come kicking and screaming or not. We're going to rewrite zoning ordinances, replace infrastructure, develop new recreational space, and this budget is the way that we're going to do that starting on July 1. And I think I've probably said enough.
Thank you, Sally.
Good job.
Karen, I want to tell you, I've seen 29. And some of them are very scary. But I want to compliment you. I know you put 500-plus hours in on this budget, and with working with Sally and all your department heads, it's an amazing budget. I don't know how you could have made it any better. I really appreciate it very much. Thank you.
As Sally says, it's a team effort. It's all the department heads together.
I know it. That's why Morganton is what it is today. I'd like to say that I'll call for a public hearing to be held at 6 o'clock on the 23rd day of June 2014 for the new 2014-15 budget.
Second.
Thank you.
Have a motion second.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have more business. I want to open up a public hearing.
No.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Call for a public hearing. I'm sorry. Call for a public hearing on a non-contiguous annexation petition submitted by Mull Incorporated for 1.1 acres located at 1504 Bethel Road. Sally.
This is a petition to voluntarily satellite annex this property. The property is about a little over an acre, located at exit 106, about 0.8 miles from the existing corporate limits. Current tax value of the property is $277,000. Water service currently comes from Triple Community, and the property has access to city sewer service. Public Safety has ruled that this property is within the necessary emergency response and control limits that are established for their department. If you wish to move forward with this, you must adopt a resolution that directs the clerk to certify the annexation petition. It would be certified, and then you would call for a public hearing that would happen June 23rd.
Okay. Need two motions, guys.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution directing the clerk to certify the sufficiency of the annexation petition received from Mull Incorporated.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next motion.
And I can tell you
Verify.
that it's sufficient.
Okay. Next motion.
I move we adopt a resolution fixing June 23rd, 2014 at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Council Chamber as a public hearing date to consider this annexation petition.
Second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay. Next one is a call for a public hearing of a contiguous, I got it right that time, annexation petition submitted by Crescent Communities, LLC, for approximately 2.75 acres located at 1001 North Green Street. Sally.
Crescent, as you know, owns the property at that location, which is actually across from Bost Road and in the area across from the Kmart Shopping Center. Currently, the city limits run parallel to the southern right-of-way of North Green Street and split this acreage. Crescent is looking to annex all of the property into the city limits and looking to develop that property. 2.75 acres roughly is what is being requested for annexation, and that's between the Oishi Restaurant and the Dollar General. Current tax value of this portion of the site is approximately $250,000. The property is under contract for the construction of a supermarket, and anticipated value somewhere around $2 million for the entire 5 acres once it is developed. And it's the same drill. You adopt a resolution directing the clerk to certify to the petition, get the certification, and then call for a public hearing if you wish to move forward.
Okay.
I make a motion to adopt a resolution directing the clerk to certify the sufficiency of the annexation petition received from Crescent Communities, LLC.
Second.
Second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sally?
It is sufficient.
Sufficient. Okay.
Move to adopt a resolution fixing June 23rd, 2014 at 6 p.m. at the City Hall Council Chambers as a public hearing date to consider this annexation petition.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay. Consideration of a second agreement to extend contract for sale of property at 502 College Street. Sally.
You'll recall that we currently have an agreement in place with the senior deaf and blind community for purchase of the property at College Street for the development of a senior living project. In March of 2014, we adopted an extension that extended the current contract to the end of June. In the original contract, you had allowed opportunities with proper notification and if warranted, to extend the contract with no more earnest money being put down. And you can extend that one more time. That request has been made to extend that until September the 30th, 2014. They are still working on their plans and finalizing all of that. And so there's been the request for the 3-month extension.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, now we're coming up on appointments, and I'll take a little bit of a lead on some of these, and because we've got some add-ons. But the first one is Board of Adjustment, and we have Pat Williams, who, by the way, thoughts and prayers go out to her and her family. She just lost one of her 3 daughters. Pat is to be reappointed, and I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Pat Williams to the Board of Adjustment with terms to expire June 3, 2017. I have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next is cable television. We have an add-on on cable television. That add-on is
Student.
is a student at Freedom High School, body president, Kaylee Lane at 118 Creekside Drive, to go along with Dennis Caldwell and Barry Stock. Do you want to do those in one motion, guys?
Yes.
All right. So move, and do I hear a second? All right, motion second. All in favor say aye. Okay, next is community appearance. We have mayoral appointment of Bill Allman and Martha Franklin to be reappointed. Don't have to have a motion.
So moved.
No, don't have to.
Okay.
Yes. Fireman Supplemental Retirement Fund, this is John's. This is John's own, he gets an increase this year from 0 to 0. Motion to appoint John Cantrell and to confirm appointment of public safety appointee Karen Duncan's term to expire on May 21, 2016. Make this conform to the motion.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to appoint David Ferber for a term to expire on May 21, 2015. Anybody second that?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consideration of appointments for boards and commissions. Human Relations Commission. This is another add-on. We've got Alma Yanez and Buddy Armour and Jill King for the Human Relations, and we had to add on Max Conley. Are you Freedom Rising Senior? Now someone can make that and reappoint Mary Wright. So we're reappointing Mary Wright, Alma Yanez, and appointing Buddy Armour and Jill King and Max Conley.
Yes, you're making a total of 5 appointments. 4 of them are new appointments. Mary Wright is a reappointment.
And doing them all in one motion.
Okay.
So moved.
So moved. All in
Second.
favor? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Trying to make it as simple as we can do it. All right. Main Street Advisory is my appointment again. Diane Ryle, Judy Willis, Ben Belton, Dr. Bryant Lindsay, Eddie McGimpsey, all to go on till 2017. Board Planning and Zoning. We have expiring David Kirk, Kim Woolard, and Rick Lingerfelt, and they're asking to be reappointed. So I have a motion for that.
Motion to reappoint David Kirk, Kim Woolard, Rick Lingerfeld, excuse me, to the Planning and Zone Commission for
Second.
terms to expire on June the 3rd,
We have
2017.
we have a second. All in favor say aye. Consideration of appointments for Redevelopment Commission. And
Rec Advisory.
did I skip one?
Recreation advisory.
Recreation
I'm sorry.
Advisory.
Yeah, you're right. All
Have
right.
3
We have 3.
vacancies.
We have 3 vacancies, and we're asking to put on Daniel Hernandez, Jimmy Holland, and John Wisnett. And I need that in form of a motion.
So moved.
So move. All right. We have a second.
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Redevelopment Commission, Martin McManus wants off, and Wilma Parson is recommended for reappointment. We're going to have an addition sometime later in the future, but I make a motion that we reappoint Wilma Parsons. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And let's see. PDI, John Cantrell. Do I hear a motion? John, won't you make your own motion?
I don't think that's proper.
All right, I make a motion that we reappoint John to BDI, Board of Directors, for a term to expire June 30th. That's Burke Development Incorporated. Do I hear a second?
Second.
What's the
All
pay
in
rate?
favor say aye.
What's the pay rate?
Same as the other
Yeah,
ones.
same page.
Same as the
Now,
other.
I would like to go ahead and ask if it's legal to go ahead and reappoint Steve Gregory. It's a 30-day notice. Is that a?
Yeah, I think we've got to give the 30-day notice. Isn't
I've
this
never
just
heard of
on for
that
the first
before.
time, Sally?
I've never heard of that before.
It is, but we have reappointed before if it was going to be a reappointment.
Okay.
I
I don't have a problem. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
I just think we ought to go ahead and, because they do a great job. We're one of the foremost in the state. Number 4, I believe, of all ABC stores in the state of North Carolina in profit. All in favor say, for Steve Gregory, say aye.
Wait, I need a second.
Oh, you
Yeah,
need
did
second.
somebody second?
For the record.
Sydney, you second?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Now, we did the ABC, all right, and we've got a closed session.
Yes, for an economic development matter, and we do not anticipate a decision
Is anything else from any of the
coming
council?
out of that.
All right, we're going to move into, I want to make a motion that we go into a closed session for an economic development project. I need to say the statute?
Yes.
As per the general statute 143-318.11A4. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Okay. And Tyler, there will not be any kind of reaction. You can leave.
Yeah.